No, it's fine. No, I was Dan told me to sit there, said we didn't want.
Bruce Springsteen fans, they all work
Yeah.
Oh, that's me. Yeah, text me.
Okay, we're back in open session, and I appreciate your patience. We're back in open session, and I'm going to start with the student representatives report.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. For the student representatives report, I would like to begin by discussing the success of the club fair. We held a club fair that lasted 2 days, about 2 weeks ago, and during this club fair, we had any interested clubs sign up to participate during a club showcase that was held during lunch. There was about 30 clubs that participated in this, perhaps even more, and then students from our high school were able to tour all of these different club booths during lunch for these 2 days that the club fair lasted. From my personal experience, I noticed that the club fair was a great success because of the membership that increased in all of these clubs. But more importantly, this was a great way for students to explore a variety of their own interests, and also for them to find community in our high school. We have many different clubs like Dear Asian Youth. We also have like Women in STEM, and so these clubs are great avenues for students to find communities with students of similar identities and interests.
Sorry. No, that's okay. Thank you. Going along with that, for students finding community, intramurals started last Wednesday, as we talked about last meeting. It started with handball, and we're definitely seeing a positive reaction from students. A lot of people are participating in them, and then we are excited for to actually see the impact and the reactions further once we really get into it and start really competing during the weekdays.
The next item on our report is an update for the Student Advisory Committee. We recently sent out an email with a Google form for the application to join the Student Advisory Committee. We're looking for around 12 members who are able to represent our 9th to 12th grade population. The deadline for this application is coming soon, but we've already begun to look at these responses. And compared to last year, we've noticed a great improvement in the diversity in the students that have applied. We've been able to see students from all different interests and all different backgrounds, so we're very excited to work with students who have different voices to bring to the committee.
And then we did this week come back from the 4-day weekend, and we want to bring some light to the fact that we do have no homework weekends on these longer weekends, and it's actually very appreciated by the students for that. I've heard a lot of them being able to go on vacation with their family without, having to worry about their homework, and also being able to go to visit colleges. And for me, myself personally, I was actually able to make applesauce with my family, which was very important to me. We haven't been able to do that, so being able to, come together as a family without worrying about school, I think it's definitely beneficial for both the students and the teachers, I imagine, to have a break without worrying about work. So we thank you for that policy.
We've begun doing academic updates for all of the students in the high school. And for these updates, they happen around bi-monthly and are sent out as emails to students and parents. And I've seen a lot of positives with these updates, as my friends have mentioned, because it's a great way of staying accountable for your grades and for your academic performance. Obviously, there may be some kind of stress associated with this because some students may not like their parents keeping such a tight leash on their grades. But in general, it's a good way to make sure that students are staying responsible for how well they're doing in school.
And then last week, we celebrated International Night at the high school. Over 200 people attended, both all students, families, and staff members of the high school. And the whole gym, when I arrived, was packed immediately. Once it started, it was very packed. And we really think it's important that people got a glimpse of other people's cultures that they go to school with, and not just their own. So we had different booths from the National or Language Honor Societies. Additionally, students were so interested in it that they also, not a language society, but they wanted to come forth and celebrate and make food from their own culture, which was really important. So it was another successful community event that brought people together, and we got to learn a lot more about other students and their home life. And that is the end of our report. Thank you.
Thank you both. We really appreciate it. We're up to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, and ladies, thank you for another excellent report. And it really makes me happy to hear that these homework-free weekends are working, for the students. And I'm glad to hear you had some time to unwind, make some applesauce, etc. It actually sounds like a lot of fun. I know Mr. Pepe was hoping you probably brought some, but maybe next meeting. Just kidding. So anyhow, thank you for sharing, and I saw with International Night as well, there was a nice article that was posted on the website, ran in the Prowler. So again, excellent job. So there are a few sections to my superintendent's report this evening, and what I'm going to start off with is our annual faculty recognition. So tonight we're going to honor the members of our staff who have earned an advanced degree, earned tenure, or have served the district for 25 years. So as we call people up, I'm going to be up there with Dr. Fonder. I'm just going to ask that afterwards we go out in the hallway and get a photo op with Mr. Moran to be posted on the website. But again, before we call up the individuals, as always, I want to thank and congratulate all the attendees this evening who took the time out of their long day to come here tonight, and really for making the Bridgewater-Raritan Regional School District your home. Again, our district is a far better place for your efforts, and once more, thank you. So now I'm going to go up to the podium with my colleague, Dr. Fonder, and we are going to honor the folks on the agenda tonight. Thank you. Okay, we're going to begin with staff recognition for advanced degrees. First person we want to bring up tonight is Jason Perler, who's a teacher of students with disabilities at Bradley Gardens Primary, who achieved his master's in special ed. Now, I do believe these other folks are not in attendance tonight, but if I made a mistake, please do come up to receive your certificate. If not, we do want to publicly acknowledge them. So Rachel Hadley, who's a teacher of students with disabilities, Hamilton Primary School, her master's in education. Melissa Oliver, teacher of students with disabilities at Milltown Primary School, earned her master's in education. Susan Winters, who's an elementary school teacher at Bradley Gardens Primary School, earned her Master of Education. Kelly Zarelli, who's a teacher of English at Bridgewater-Raritan Middle School, earned her Master of Science in Curriculum and Instruction. And Laura Carnes, school counselor at Bridgewater-Raritan High School, earned her Doctor of Educational Leadership. So again, if we have a round of applause for all those folks with the advanced. So next, we would like to call up all of the folks in our district who earned tenure. So without really getting into the weeds of this, in order to earn tenure in any district in the state of New Jersey, you have to have 4 years of service and really 4 years of high achievement in your ratings from your supervisors, principals, etc. So in order to achieve tenure, it's 4 years and 1 day. So again, congratulations to all these folks in the room tonight who have earned this. Okay, first is Diana Amarante Caspeo, Bridgewater-Raritan Middle School ESL teacher. Gina Casavero Wright, Milltown Primary School media specialist. Jennifer Coppola, Bradley Gardens Primary School, speech and language specialist. Brittany DeBella, Adamsville Primary School, teacher of students with disabilities. Dan Fonder, Wade Administrative Building, Assistant Superintendent. Congratulations, Dr. Fonder. Okay. Ashley Hurt, Adamsville Primary School, elementary school teacher. Sarah Javier, Bridgewater-Raritan High School, teacher of mathematics. Jessica McFarland, JFK Primary School, teacher of students with disabilities. Kristen Merbach, Bridgewater-Raritan High School, teacher of social studies. James Olivola, Bridgewater-Raritan High School, teacher of mathematics. Jason Perler, Bradley Gardens Primary School, teacher of students with disabilities. Congrats. Kellyanne Tenkate, Crim Primary School principal. Jennifer Valella, Adamsville Primary School, school social worker. Paula Wine, Van Holten Primary School, secretary. So here is a list of the other folks who are not in attendance tonight. But again, if we made a mistake, please come up when we call your name. But I want to acknowledge as well. So Nancy Campbell, Hillside Intermediate School, secretary. Beth Duval, Bradley Gardens Primary School, school social worker. Linda Hoynowski, Hillside Intermediate School, teacher of students with disabilities. Jennifer Nadzak, Bridgewater-Raritan Middle School, school social worker. Melissa Noble, Bridgewater-Raritan High School, teacher of world language. Alexandra Pellegrino, Adamsville Primary School, teacher of students with disabilities. Matthew Rago, Bridgewater-Raritan Middle School, teacher of physical education. Casave, I know I messed that up, Bridgewater-Raritan Middle School, teacher of social studies. Joseph Olm, Hillside Intermediate School, teacher of music. Carmen Caparasso, JFK Primary School, speech and language specialist. Paula Clark, Bridgewater-Raritan High School, secretary. Kim Colavito, Bradley Gardens Primary School, school nurse. Megan Corliss, Bridgewater-Raritan Middle School, principal. She got us. She's not here. Big applause. Michael Dalpy, Bridgewater-Raritan High School, teacher of English. Daniela Hudak, Bradley Gardens Primary School, elementary school teacher. Kevin Lomsky, Wade Admin Building, assistant business administrator. Stephanie McCalla, Bridgewater-Raritan High School, teacher of science. Lisa Stazo, Bridgewater-Raritan Middle School, secretary. Christine Wellens, Bridgewater-Raritan High School, teacher of social studies. And Jeremy Wright, Hillside Intermediate School, teacher of students with disabilities. So once more, congratulations to all the staff who earned tenure in our district. And we hope that you make Bridgewater-Raritan your permanent home. So again, congratulations. Okay, now the last part of our staff recognition is to honor those who have achieved 25 years of service here in the Bridgewater-Raritan Regional School District. All right, and again, it's quite an accomplishment to be at one place for a quarter of a century. Don't want to make anyone feel old. You know, I wish I was only at 25 years myself, but that's a whole nother story. But nonetheless, again, we're grateful that you made our district your home, and now we would like to call you up to be recognized. Okay, Baron Caramano, teacher of music at Bridgewater-Raritan Middle School. Should give you these. Just keep on messing up. Melissa Erickson is a teacher of English at Bridgewater-Raritan High School.
Thank you.
Now, in those envelopes, it's a key to a new car outside. Is that what's in there? Something like that. Okay. Lisa Finnis, school counselor, Bridgewater-Raritan High School. Christia Greenberg, who's the assistant principal at Bridgewater-Raritan High School. Michelle McCann, who's a first grade teacher at Adamsville Primary School. And Sandy Smith, who is a fifth grade teacher at Eisenhower Intermediate School.
Thank you.
Yeah. And again, these are the folks who cannot be with us this evening. But again, if a mistake was made and you are in attendance, please come up to receive your award. So Christy Baxter, second grade teacher at Van Holten Primary School. James Casey, physical education teacher at Adamsville Primary School. Alexander Haneo, grounds worker in the maintenance department. Deborah Johnson is the secretary at the Bridgewater-Raritan Middle School. Rita Tague is bus driver in the transportation department. Carolyn Bregartner, secretary at the Wade Administration Building. Karen Clausen is a secretary at the Hamilton Primary School. Paul DeRosa is a social studies teacher at Bridgewater-Raritan Middle School. Jennifer Haff is a French teacher at Bridgewater-Raritan High School. Jennifer Heimbach is a 5th grade teacher at Hillside Intermediate School. Catherine Kirchner, who's an intervention specialist at JFK Primary School. Gwen Kuznier, language arts teacher at Bridgewater-Raritan Middle School. And finally, Mark Stout, who's a physical education teacher at the Crim Primary School. So again, those are all of our honorees tonight. If I could ask all the folks who are honored, I mean, Bruce, if we go down into the old gymnasium here and go in front of the stage, we'd like to take a group shot. And go from there. Yeah, you don't know where it is, do you?
No, I know. That's where we used to get the paper.
And you're all dismissed. Thank you so much again.
That's too cold.
I'm sure they're gonna love it. They're gonna, they're gonna love the pictures.
Yeah. I tried to find a picture of how it is in school. All sorts of things. I can send it to you.
Nah, I got Dan's gonna be the, he's got one. He'll be the guy. Oh yeah, doing the picture.
No. Just sit next to you. Here's if that works.
I know you're not gonna go long.
Nope, that's it.
Congratulations, Christina.
Because it was not a criticism at all. And I appreciate your work. What's up, Dan?
How you doing?
So I could start up? Okay. No, it's okay. I think we're good. So next I would like to yeah. Might need to. So next I'd like to start by thanking the community for their support related to the referendum question on November 7th. So as you know, this was a big deal for the district, but here are the highlights. As of 2:15 today, the yes votes totaled 7,294, and the no votes are 6,313. The referendum, although it's not official yet, but it's a 53.6 to 46.4% margin. So 13,607 people voted on the referendum question, which it's an interesting statistic, which is 668 more than voted for the mayoral race. right? That's interesting. But I've asked a bunch of people, hey, what can this possibly mean, right? And the only, although we can't prove causation, I like to believe that it demonstrates the effectiveness of our campaign to get out the vote and our informational campaign, where what it alludes to is that people went to the polls solely for the purpose of voting. At least there was a component who went to solely vote on this issue. All right. Now, there could be a lot of other reasons for this differential in votes, but I think it's really, it demonstrates what we did as a group to get the vote out for this initiative. So I want to thank the community, our teachers, our administrators, and all of our organizational leaders, such as the CSA, the PTOs, Panther Athletic Club, et cetera. I mean, and there are about 20 or 30 of them. And I believe this referendum was an example of the collaboration at the highest level amongst the Board of Education. We had multiple evening events, multiple times when we handed out brochures, we had face-to-face meetings, individual conversations, individual contacts, which helped us get this across the finish line. I really believe this project brought out the best in all of us, and I want to thank the entire board and all of the community and congratulate you for a job well done. I think this is quite an accomplishment, so thank you. Thank you. And you should be proud of what we've done. We should. But now, 1 week later, now the challenging part begins. We've got to plan to make this referendum a reality for full-day kindergarten in 2026. We should know that the Board of Education and the public should know that we've had our initial cabinet meetings and principal meetings where we're brainstorming really a list of items that need to be done or completed. So I'm encouraging the Board of Education when we have our next retreat and we're talking about initiatives or what have you, that we can really set up the time to go through the whole host of items that are attached to this referendum. So for example, some of the major areas that are going to need focus, and we're working as an administration, and there are items at the Board of Education level, is personnel, hiring of people, and the movement and transfer of our employees on a large scale. This is going to be a massive undertaking. We've got to take a look at the schedules for every school across the district. And yes, the other item that's connected to this, and we've talked about it for a couple of years, are school start times, and really taking a look at that. And also, if we recall a few years ago, we cut the instructional day for some of our schools, because of the transportation crisis. So with this revamping of schedules, et cetera, hey, we want to make sure that we can add those lost minutes into every level. Obviously, transportation is a large part of this, and it was a part of the operating costs. Looking at curriculum and programming, and specifically, I think you're going to see major changes in the 4th grade and in the 6th grade, just because, again, these are the grades that are moving. They're part of new buildings, and there's a lot we can do here. Administrative structures are also going to be analyzed, as are support structures. And what I mean by support structures are child study team members, speech therapists, all of these folks who work in different schools to support our students. Right? We've got to figure all of this out in the next 2 years. So again, there's a lot to do, and I am confident that we have the team to do it, because this project is going to have positive and generational change for the Bridgewater-Raritan community. We continue to build a new Bridgewater-Raritan Regional School District. All right, and again, we always like to demonstrate transparency and competence. I can't promise that everything will go smoothly, but we're going to continue to make this promise that people voted for a reality. So, look, whenever you tackle a large project like this and you look back, you realize that the result, right, isn't the whole story. There was a whole process that went in, and there was a whole journey over 2 years that went into this. And I think it's important to look back and reflect on that, because sitting here more as the new person, I've been here 2.5 years, right when this started, is I really believe as a Board of Education, as an administrative team, we really did everything we could to get the positive result while connecting with our community, right? And we look back, it's not just the vote, but it's all of those meetings, all those conversations, all those contacts we made over those last 2 years. So I'll say we constantly try to improve and discuss two-way communication with the public. My view is that there's no greater two-way communication than presenting a case to the public, communicating with our constituents, and letting them weigh in via a public vote. That is the pure definition of two-way communication. So once more, I want to thank everybody, everyone here at the table, and the whole community who believed in us and helped to make this a reality. And now we promise that we're going to do everything in our power to make sure we deliver the product that the community expects. So once more, thank you. So I want to pivot now to a few other items that are going to come up over the next couple of months. One is the district climate survey, the NJ Sky survey, NJSCI, that we've been trained on, and right now the live link has been communicated from individual schools to parents in their school. So there is a live link that went out to parents and will be open for a week. Student surveys will take place next week. On that message that went out to parents, there is an opt-out. If parents do not want their child to take the survey, they can do so. There's a Google form. Last week, we opened the survey for faculty, and I'm going to open it up for another segment just so some folks who may have missed that interval can go and weigh in. And look, the whole goal here is to aggregate this data, and what we're looking to do is present a district overview and synopsis at our December 12th meeting via a Board of Education presentation. So that's ongoing. Again, the data is both going to be at a school level and a district level. And the whole goal of this is not to compare school to school, but for schools to look at their data with their data teams and with assistance from administration, central office, look at strengths and weaknesses and really try to develop a plan to again, develop positive school climate, because we know how important that is. We should know that we want to make sure that this is not punitive in any way towards any institution, right? It's a matter of people giving feedback and letting us know where we are. So it's not evaluative, it's not punitive, but it's a way for us to get information from our constituents and really analyze that and digest it. So that's one thing. The second part that will be coming up in the next couple of months is the Long Range Planning Committee or Steering Committee, depending on the language you want to use. So this is going to be organized at the start of 2024. Going to ask the public to please look for more information related to this item. This is one where we're working with New Jersey school boards to help us through this process, and we're going to have a few meetings. Most likely it will be either at the end of January or beginning of February, right in that time frame. And we'll organize a cross-section of the community to engage in this process. But we're going to send out invitations to the entire community. All are welcome, and we'll see what happens. So again, I've talked a lot tonight. So now I want to turn our attention to a presentation by Dr. Dan Sylvia, who's the Assistant Superintendent for Special Services, and Dan Hemberger, who's the principal of Bridgewater-Raritan Regional High School. As we've communicated in multiple presentations, one of the metrics that we really need to work on as a district is our graduation rate. Right? It's It's right around the 92, 93% range. And this has been a problem really since COVID, and it's an area of improvement. So we did start some new programming over the past year. We've enhanced some other programs, and right now I want to turn it over to the two Dans, who can fill us in on the changes in the programming that we have at Bridgewater-Raritan High School to help our at-risk students. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll lead off, and Dan will be, I think you said you were Vanna White tonight?
Yep.
So,
Wait to
okay.
start closing up here.
Okay. Yes. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk about some of the programs that we're working on at the high school. There's a lot that we're doing very well, and I think one of the themes that I really want to talk about before I dive into the specific programs is to talk about a little bit about how I want to frame it under the idea of a sort of collaborative effort. So some of this I sort of pitched to the staff in the beginning of the year as a way to think about all of the things that we're doing and all the things that we're all working on. And I think it's really important that you hear it that way too, because it's important to note that any program, any intervention program you might have, or any general academic program, they're less successful when they're done in isolation. So it's really important to frame them in terms of a bigger vision, a bigger collaboration with other programs that are happening at the same time, because that is how the students see them, that is how the staff sees them, and they ebb and flow and they work together. So there's this idea that is research-based, and it's sort of been the theme since I've been here. I've been talking about this idea of collective teacher efficacy. And this is a belief that teachers, when they believe that they can affect students and affect programming, it statistically, research says, correlates with very good results, impactful results. And it's really just a matter of coordinating those energies, right, and coordinating those beliefs together to create that environment where everyone believes they can do it. The idea, I think, in an anecdote that I've lived with since when I was an early teacher, is this idea that a colleague once said to me. He talked about how running a school is not really like hopping on a bus where there's one person driving the bus and one person steering and making the bus go, and you're moving. Running a school and running programming in particular is a team effort. It's more like making a boat go, where you need several people to operate the boat. And there's someone's rowing the oars, or someone's steering the ship, or someone's navigating. You need multiple people to do it, and it's a team effort. So I think that's in terms of framing this presentation. I'd really like you to think about it that way. This belief really is about a unified effort in coordinating our programs. I think the research too, just to that point, really suggests that it doesn't even have to be the best program, but when we're unified in doing it, you're going to get better results. So that is to say, we are picking the best programs, but we're going to try to be unified in how we do it as well. So this idea of collective efficacy, I've paired the idea with all of our programs. It's simultaneously, when you're trying to do intervention programs, like, for example, to raise the graduation rate, you can't just do that where you're targeting the kids who are most at risk. You got to do it where you're framing it in terms of raising expectations overall for everybody. You're aiming high, you're aspiring to a bigger vision, a bigger outcome for everybody. You want the, rising tide raises all boats. It's that notion where you're raising expectations with all of our programs, in particular some of our AP programs, some of our PSATs, which we have just given to everybody, and then providing support systems on the other side for the kids to sort of, while they're aspiring to the bigger goals, you're providing support systems and interventions to really support them to sort of like cross that river when they get to it. So if when looking at that, these are just some of the things that we've done to sort of like pair both ideas at the same time, because that's really what we want. We want to raise expectations. We just gave the PSATs to every student in grades 9, 10, 11th grade. All right, that in itself is an issue that it was an equity issue. We have a lot of kids who didn't realize how well they could do and how high they can aspire to and how much access they could have to advanced coursework because they didn't have anybody telling them that, or they didn't have test scores that suggested they could do this. And the PSATs, the scores actually just were recently published just today. I haven't had a chance to really dive into them, but I'm anticipating that it's going to be very revealing for a lot of our kids who are high achieving but underperforming, and that's that idea. We're raising the expectations. You're very well aware of the idea of academic concentrations that we've been working on to sort of like streamline and coordinate our academic programs into like coursework that kind of builds on each other, and you end with these specific concentrations. You know, we've added college and career programming with a college and career counselor. Like, these are formalized programs, a unified effort with a designated agenda that can really sort of like get the message out and sort of communicate those high expectations. So again, that is paired with, you can't really, any support system, any intervention program you do is not going to go as well if you don't have it paired with the sort of bigger outcomes that we're all sort of working towards. So specifically, what I'm technically reporting on is some of these support systems that I'm going to briefly talk about. We started some of these last year, and we've doubled down on what worked and are building them out even more this year. So to begin with, this idea of before and after school tutoring programs. Oh, give me the next slide. So that is something that we identified last year, where we had a fair amount of students who were struggling in specific courseworks. In particular, there was a number of science and math courses that kids were struggling in. More numbers of those courses than others. So we've identified those courses from the grading information, from the grades that the kids earned. And we also identified the students, those who had, I think we use the threshold of 70 or below in those courses each quarter. And we invited them to before and after school tutoring for those specific courses that they were doing poorly in. And it was just tutoring with our own staff before and after school, where they could go to the library or go wherever and get. It wasn't necessarily one-on-one. It could be, but we kind of used a metric of 1 to 6, and the teacher could kind of take turns going through for that hour with each one of those kids. But again, it varied, but it was very successful. We had 850 tutoring sessions. Is kind of how we cataloged it, we had a very good attendance rate for the kids that did sign up for it, and it was very well received. So it could be as simple as the kid's struggling and he signs up for a session on a day, like he has a test coming up this week and he wanted to prepare for it. Or maybe he got feedback on a test and wanted to retake it or learn the material he missed, and that would be, those sessions would be used for those sort of targeted interventions. The other thing that we started last year, we piloted this idea of a program called Edgenuity, and it was really framed as a way to identify, initially, when we piloted this last spring, as a way to identify students who were in grade 12 and were failing courses that were required for them to graduate, core academic courses that they needed to graduate. And what we did is we created, Edgenuity is an online program where a student could take the course, and it was sort of self-paced. There's video tutorials and sort of adaptive assessments that they would do online, and they would basically go through. So the supervisors of those courses in those departments customized courses for those students who we identified to be able to go redeem credit that they had lost. So for example, a kid may have done very poorly the first marking period or two, and now is going to have a very difficult time passing the course for their senior year in order to graduate. So we gave them a chance to go back and sort of redeem that credit, and they could get a pass. They could pass those marking periods that they didn't pass as a way to sort of, and again, we were testing this out to see if it worked, and it went very well. Kids went back with these customized courses and learned the material that they didn't get, and in that effort also raised their grade in a way for them to graduate, pass the class and graduate. So it was very successful. Enough so that we doubled down on the program and are planning and are using it now. We have quarter one just finished, so we're going to use that assessment or that those grades basically to sort of build out and identify the students that need those services now, not wait until the spring to identify that. So again, the idea here is that this program is not only just a credit recovery like most commonly used, where you have an online program, a student fails the class and then they have to retake the class, which is an option for us, but it is more about intervention, where teachers and formally as administrators, we can provide those interventions before the class is over. And that way students can not get too far behind before they catch up. And that way we're sort of addressing the need while it's still fresh. And nobody digs themselves into too deep a hole for their grades and would be too unfortunate to pass the class. So those are two ways we've used this program. It was very, we did it the second half of the year. It was pretty successful, and we went all in this year, and we're going to be building that out beginning now as the quarter ends and grades are being submitted. I would also like to add too that it was also used for attendance appeals. So again, you may or may not realize the high school is based on credits. So it's not, you could be passing a class, but you missed so many days that you've missed the amount of seat time that is required to actually earn the credit in that class. So we have our attendance appeals processes, which we've amplified this year to sort of support kids once they go over that threshold. But we've also used Edgenuity last year, and we will be using it this year in a more timely way. To sort of allow a student to sort of recoup that seat time and recoup the skills that they missed because of their numerous absences. So again, last year we had an 85% success rate with this for students that completed the program and earned their credit back. And again, I don't anticipate anything less. I would like to also say though too, that in terms of all these interventions, the more systematic we are in addressing them, ultimately, the quantity of students that need those services will be reduced, just because it's sort of multi-pronged. We're going at it in many different ways, and that's a good thing. That's a sign that it's working. The other one, and a really more intensive support system, is what we have here is our MTSS program, our Structured Learning Lab. Flip the slide, thanks. And what this is a more intensive support. So what we did through the summer, and Dr. Greenberg's here, I'll give her credit. Her and Dr. Godin really led the charge with this in building out a program where we identified students. Because there's a pool of students who just really struggled. They failed 2 or more classes last year and just had a lot of difficulty in catching up. And just creating patterns and behaviors and having supports to just be functional in school overall. So we've identified these students in all the grades, and we schedule them to a class called a Structured Learning Lab. And in that class, we have 2 teachers. Basically, one is a support teacher that is sort of coordinating the overall, sort of holistically, the student's work. So the student will be in this class, and this teacher is helping the students manage all of their work. They may have a quiz in biology. They may have an essay due in English. They were absent one day and need to catch up on something, or they might have forgot about an assignment, or they might be doing poorly in one class. And that teacher is there to help that student manage all of the work, because again, these students haven't developed the behaviors, the academic behaviors they need to be successful. So this is direct sort of support for those students to learn what they need to learn and help manage their academics. The idea being that most of these kids are capable, all of the kids really are capable, but it's more of a behavioral problem in terms of why they are not succeeding. And there's a direct support of a teacher to guide that. There was also another teacher in there, 2 interventionists that rotate through these classes, an ELA and a math teacher, who can provide direct instruction in support of those academic subjects, English and math. So there's 2 support teachers that are helping these students succeed through the program. They are monitored every day. Their progress is monitored each day they're in the class. The teachers sort of document their success and their or lack of success, so that there's a track record of what's working, what's not working. The other part of this too is that it is helping to coordinate communication among everybody that needs to know, whether it's the students, the counselors, the teachers. the teachers are helping the student advocate for what they need, so they learn what they can do and how to go about doing it. We have about 100 students in the program right now, and we are reviewing it daily, or I should say weekly, with our grade reports. But students will be able to, in mid-year, exit and enter the program. So there is monitoring of the kids in the program, and then screening of all the kids. Basically, we're constantly screening all the students in the school who may not be in the program but might need to be. There may be other kids who would qualify for this, especially now that we're finishing Q1 and grades are being submitted. We might find there's other kids who are falling through the cracks, and there may be 2 or 3, maybe failing 2 or 3 classes. Those are the kids we're going to identify and bring them into this program to support them. Because again, some kids will learn and exit the program. Other kids may need to enter. But this is a pretty formalized way of addressing student needs, and it's been working very well. We're already seeing. We'll have hard data on this soon, but anecdotally, I mean, we're seeing the kids doing way better. Kids who have failed multiple courses last year are just not failing those courses this year because the supports are there. So it is certainly helping. And again, that is again another way. I used the term multi-pronged before. Another one of the prongs to sort of support the bigger vision of what we're aspiring towards, and also supporting all our kids to get there. We have another support system which I'm going to let the mastermind behind it, Dr. Sylvia, explain to you. But that one is also going well, the Bright program. So Dr. Sylvia, take it away.
I asked Dan if he could make sure my slide didn't stick out, but apparently somehow it didn't work out that way. Well, I'm going to try to do the best I can. So what is the Bright program? Very clear, Bridgewater-Raritan Integrated Therapeutic Education Program. So what does that exactly mean, and why am I here talking about it? So I am probably one prong on the fork of Mr. Hemberger's whole programmatic kind of look at how he's addressing a lot of the things that we're looking to target at the high school. This is one component. For those of you who do know me, if you don't know me, I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Student Services. I'm usually involved in all our special education programs. So whenever there's something that doesn't fit exactly the square peg in a round hole, usually I get involved. So this program actually has a lot to do with a lot of services that we do look at when we're providing programs for our students with disabilities. But to be clear, this is a general education initiative. This is actually not something that is driven by special education. Special education students certainly can participate in the program if need be, but it's not meant necessarily to be a special education program. It really is a general education initiative. So what is it? It's a short-term alternative program for our students who are in need of more of a structured therapeutic environment. We have a number of students, for a host of reasons, that struggle socially, behaviorally, have emotional challenges that impact their ability to be academically successful. And we know that, and certainly coming out of COVID, that was even exacerbated. So what we try to do is we have this program where we have very individually designed goals for students in regards to what they're trying to accomplish. Many of these students, for various reasons, are not on track for graduation. We have an opportunity for them to regain credit in similar kind of ways that Mr. Hemberger kind of shared. The program is meant to be short-term, right? And students are in the program, and as they develop and kind of get to certain kind of milestones for their goals, they can transition out and kind of get back into the normal programming. But what we've seen is that these students aren't necessarily being successful with the general education program that we're currently offering them for some of these things. So this is a whole team of people who are involved in this, and there's an assistant principal at the high school, Brian Smith, who used to be a special education supervisor, who kind of oversees this program, along with one of my supervisors of special education. Again, not a special education initiative, but it's important to have that kind of lens because we work with a lot of these types of issues and things. So we have a program coordinator who's also a mental health professional who does individual and group counseling with the kids. So we have a school psychologist where they're just assigned to work with these students on their individual goals, and some of them are behavioral and some of them are therapeutic, and then other of them are academic, so trying to keep everything kind of coordinated. We have a number of certified high school teachers who actually go into the classroom and work with the kids. So all of our different areas in which the students need instruction, math, science, social studies, English, PE, they all go into the program and kind of teach the kids. Students are expected to follow a code of conduct, right? But in addition to that, there's a set of like unique expectations for this classroom, right? Because we know that some of these kids may not always meet the criteria of exactly what we would want them as far as behaviorally, but we also know that they're kind of working through stuff. So we're there to support them through that. So far, year one, knock on wood, program's moving along. We're only about 2.5 months in, but certainly we see that some of the kids are responding very well to it. And like I had shared with Dan and everybody else, this is just one prong of a large spork or fork that Mr. Hemberger is using to address these. So that's the closer. This is, yes. Right, so we started out with 8 students this year. That number could potentially go up based on student population. They're constantly looking at how students, like monitoring, seeing which students may possibly need these types of interventions over the course of the year. So sometimes they may not be identified early, but they could be identified throughout the year. And who knows, potentially we may have to open up another section if we have that many needs. So we'll see where it goes. But certainly in year one, we're working forward. So, any claps?
So there were a few topics. If there are any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them at this